Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's another one of these, for me anyway, early afternoon um, lives. I was already had everything booked for the week. So whenever one of our viewers sent me a bunch of information on the 764, I don't know what to call them. Cult group. They call themselves a community, which just it just irritates me. So I'm just calling them the 764. But anyway, sent me that information yesterday and I went live with it and then I realized that there was such a you know, so many offshoots of it that it has now went globally. And so that's why I'm doing today is to kind of tie together a couple more. I'm not going to go into all of the offshoots because I figure I'll leave some stuff for you all to dig into if you want to. So uh anyway, if you have not watched yesterday's video, please watch it at some point. I think it's an important video because I think that we need to pay attention to the fact that these people are going after our children and they are getting our children to do horrific things to others and to themselves. So, before I get started, so that I don't forget, I did want to make a correction yesterday. We saw that Caleb Christopher Merritt had been convicted of raping a 12-year-old girl, and it said that he got 350 years in prison. Well, all of us were like, "Wow, that's incredible. What did he do?" Blah blah blah, because it just seemed so extensive. Well, I do want to say I had actually asked um ChatGPT about that, and they gave me the 350-year number twice and said that it was from, Wikipedia. But I did do some more diving on it just because it just kept bothering me, I was just like, "I don't know, that just doesn't sound right," and I did find out that it was 33 years, not 350, which is still a lot for, this crime, which I don't think it's enough. I think that, I think that a lot of crimes need to be longer, prison terms or whatever than what they are. But I did want to say that. I also did want to add a little bit of the information, which may be as to why he got that. And it also kind of brings it, I don't know, it kind of reminded me, not really, but what the whole statutory rape is. Supposedly we can say those words now, so we'll see. Um, Anyway, that Brett Miller brings up all the time, but this was a 12-year-old girl, but it does kind of bring it into that because this Caleb kid was not charged with a statutory crime. He was charged with rape, and, the girl was 12, he was 21 at the time. So, anyway, what he did was he set up a camp in the woods outside of this town. Now, from what I understand, it's not even right by where he lives. I mean, it's close, but it's not like in his backyard or something, okay? So he purposely set up this camp and he would lure girls there and, have relations with them or whatever. But I guess I don't know if the others wouldn't press charges or I don't know what the deal was. It didn't say. So, anyway, this girl apparently um he lured her there several times and she ended up running away from home at 12 to be with him. And so somehow or another, I didn't look into all of it. It's just too much to be perfectly honest. But anyway, he did end up charged with it in her case. And I think that the 33 years, which makes more sense than 350, is probably because it was obvious what he was doing. It wasn't a one-time thing. It was a multiple time thing. So that's what I'm thinking. But anyway, I did want to point that out. I found one image that I'm going to put up on the screen that it's not bad, y'all. I'm not going to put anything that's bad up. But this image just really brought home to me um that they're going after our children because this was actually found in one of the groups, one of their members' stuff. So I wanted to show this image. It just I don't know, it bothered me. It's a Barbie. It is just I don't know why that bothers me so much. I think because I think back I was a big Barbie fan. You know, played with my Barbies constantly, and I remember, how innocent and naive I was at that point in my life whenever I was playing with Barbies. I remember being just a small young girl. And I probably played with them till I was, 12 or 13. Even after that, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I will still, buy Barbies or something at a like a I don't know, a junk store. If they're an older Barbie or something, and I'll fix them up for my grandkids, so if you come into my house sometime, you might see me, cleaning up Barbies or fixing their hair and, making Barbie clothes and all that kinda stuff. I used to sell Barbie clothes all the time that I would make. And so I don't guess I ever grew out of it, but for some reason that picture really brought it home to me that these are going after our children. It's said, 9 to 17, and it just really irritated me. So anyway, so today I am going to mention a little bit about the 764, but I'm not going to, go into great detail about them because we did do yesterday's video and I think that is sufficient. Mostly, I'm gonna do a little recap at one point, but we are gonna talk about the maniac murder cult and the O 9A, which is the 9 angels cult, and there are other offshoots. I think, mention some of them. Yeah, I mentioned some of them, and I've got notes over here, uh, but I'm not gonna go into great detail about them. At the end, though, y'all, I do have some, just a few slides that it was easier to do that than to write it, not much. They're not big slides. And I have an article that I'm gonna read that is also short, but I want y'all to stick around for that article or come back if you have to leave, come back later and listen to that article because it's important. And I told Mischief I think that it's a good way to close this case for us I'm always gonna be paying attention to it now. I'm gonna be paying attention to some of the crimes that go on and see if they link things to them. I know that they were trying to link the Parkland, school shooting to this 764 group. They really couldn't make a definitive, connection, but they're still not, 100% saying that it's not connected, that some of these school shootings could be connected to this. We study a lot about cults on this channel, and they're like living in communes or, in orgs or whatever. And it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. But what we need to think about with these groups that we're talking about now is they could be our next door neighbor. Your kid could be riding the school bus with one of these kids, and they're not always, those the loners or the, quote unquote weird kids or whatever. Some of these are very popular kids that just get mixed up with the wrong people. It seems like it's so oversimplified, but it really is the truth. So, anyway, I want to start out a little bit with an overview of the maniac murder cult. And okay, and remember, it's an offshoot of it. The 764 one was started by a teenage boy in Texas, and it has now went global, but not necessarily the 764, but offshoots of it. But they're all kind of in the same ideology, kind of, connected together. They feed off of each other and all that. So scary. But anyway, so an overview of the maniac murder cult, aka MKY, MMC, MKU. They go by a lot of different names. And it is a neo Nazi accelerationist extremist network. And this one originated in Eastern Europe, and it is closely aligned with the Order of Nine Angels, or O9A, which we're going to talk about them too. And it has developed a notable alliance with the 764. So, yeah, they're not the same, but they are very much aligned with each other. And 764 is classified as a global sextortion and violent extremist network started in Texas by a teenager. Again, if you haven't seen yesterday's video, please go watch that at some point because it will go into more detail about the 764. And I do believe that it's important. So, anyway, I'm not sure. I'm gonna save those slides for the end. I have a note to show them now, but I'm gonna show them all at the end. I think it'll just be more, I don't know. So, um, okay. Yeah, I'll go into more about them in a minute, but I'm also gonna show a brief over or talk about a brief overview of the O9A angels. So we kind of know what we're dealing with whenever I'm talking about it. And if I seem kind of discombobulated, I feel kind of discombobulated. There's just an awful lot of it. And I would have liked to have just ignored it, but I don't think I can. I think that it is something that we need to be aware of because we all have children in our lives. And, whether they're our children or our grandchildren, nieces, nephews, neighbors, friends, kids, whatever, we have children in our lives. We need to be watching it because these people are literally right next door. They're not, and it's global. So they're not hid over here where you have to kind of try to interact with them. These are people that are purposely interacting with our children online. And on that, and the 764, their main place that they go is the game Roblox, which is hugely popular with children, including every one of my grandchildren, except for the one that's a baby. And I'm sure that when she gets old enough, she'll be playing it too. So, anyway, a brief overview of the Order of Nine Angels. O9A is an occultist, neo Nazi, satanic extremist group that emerged in Shropshire, UK, and I'm sure I butchered that, but stop barking. And they emerged in the 1960s, but they really started gaining public attention in the 80s, and so, anyway, it's just gotten worse from there. It's often described as a decentralized, secretive collective of autonomous cells or nexions rather than a formal organization. So, what that kinda means, and I think I cover it I think I'm gonna cover it later, but I'm gonna tell you now. Um, they don't have, like, group meetings and stuff. Anybody can be in it. You just go online and read their texts and all this stuff, and you kind of get in it yourself. Now they will meet together and all this, but they don't have, like, a church or whatever, like a place where they go to meet. They just kind of interact with each other online, and it's very, like, just loose. So, anyway, the O9A combines Satanism, traditionalism, and violent accelerationist ideology, promoting occult rituals, crime, and destabilization as a spiritual practice. Now, that means that is their religion, is chaos, basically. Their core beliefs and ideological elements. O9A believes human history unfolds through aeons, each dominated by rising and falling civilizations. The next imperium, they call it, will be a militaristic, sorry, Aryan society transcending Judeo-Christian magician values, eventually colonizing the galaxy. So, anyway, they assert existence of a causal realm, and it's outside the normal reality from which dark gods like Vindex, oh boy, Cathane, and Nemuku can be manifested through magic, and that is spelled Magick, not like magic like we think of. So they seek immortality within the realm via ritual. So they believe that they will get they'll become immortal by taking place in these rituals, which are basically to cause death and just chaos. So, and again, these other groups, this nine angels, Order of Nine Angels, and the maniac murder cult, they do have adults in it, but it's because they've aged out to adults. They're all like starting as children. So, uh, so anyway, practitioners adopt insight roles, and it's immersive infiltration into extremist criminal or ideological groups, such as the neo Nazis, radical Islamists, and for durations of up to 18 months. So, the way that they indoctrinate themselves and initiate themselves into these cults, I'm just going to call them cults, is that they go and immerse themselves with the neo Nazis, extreme Islamists, any kind of a very extreme group. They go and they immerse themselves in that for 18 months. And it says that their goal is personal transformation. So they're wanting to be transformed from whatever they were to begin with into these people, these extremists, and for societal sabotage. They want, yeah, they want to just sabotage society. So, another thing that I found funny was that the Order of Nine Angels, the O9A, denounces groups like the Church of Satan or the Temple of Set as sham Satanists. They say you're not really Satanists. We're the real ones. They think they have more power, and They are rooted in pagan mysticism and ancient transit traditions. I can't talk. I'm sorry. And the thing is that I know paganism gets a bad rap a lot of times, but I do want to say that I think that it's just like anything. I think that people can take elements from it and make it bad because the a lot of I know people who are pagan and they are not these extreme violent murder cults. They're just not. So it I don't want to like point fingers, but I wasn't going to leave out the information either. So anyway, the O9A has no central leadership. It has no formal no formal leadership, no formal membership, and you just self-initiate yourself. Absolutely. So operations are conducted through Nexion's sales in the UK, in the US, Europe, Brazil, Russia, Australia, and even beyond that. So they are absolutely going global, y'all. And the members, and when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about of all of it, all three groups and all of their little subgroups. They refer to themselves as associates, not members. So, and they're saying that they think that the total global number still remains in the low thousands, but that's still pretty scary. And we don't know. How do we know? If there are no numbers, if there are no memberships, if there are, how do we know? I mean, are there 8 or 9,000 or are there 30,000 or 100,000? How do we know? I don't know. So, real world extremism and terror affiliations, the O9A influenced a number of extremist actors, including terrorist sects, 764 and maniac murder cult. They also combined sexual exploitation and extremist violence into that. O9A ideology featured um, Atomwaffen Division and Sonnenkrieg Division promoting racial violence, ritualism, and sabotage. These people are they're awful. I mean, everything I could find on them says that they go after people and attack people based on race. They try to indoctrinate our children. They will try to um, convince our children to harm themselves, harm others, cut symbols into their skin, unalive themselves. And if and and they go after the vulnerable children. They go after the ones with mental vulnerabilities or marginalized communities or the ones that are having, issues with their gender or their sexuality. They will go after those kids and they will get them indoctrinated. And then the ones that aren't strong enough, that's their words, not mine, to go and do these violent acts against senior citizens and people of different races, they're the ones that they talk into unaliving themselves. It is horrific. And the crimes themselves are horrific. People are beaten to death, stabbings, stuff I won't go into. It is bad. A lot of rape, mutilation, it's bad. So, again, I'll say those words, but I'm not showing any kind of great details. You can if you're interested, you can look. So, notably, Cameron Finnegan, a teen convicted of encouraging suicide and terrorism related charges in the UK, was explicitly linked to O9A and 764. So, hold on just a second. Hey, go play outside. Go outside. Go on. You too. Sorry. I'm gonna have to start blocking that off. I'm gonna have to get a baby gate back out and block off my office. I don't like to close the door, I get claustrophobic, but and they'll stand out or they'll sit outside the door and knock on it if I don't. My dogs are crazy. So, anyway, yeah, this teen that was encouraging other teens to unalive themselves and to, to do terroristic things to people was associated with at least 2 of 3 of these. So, anyway, very briefly, the 764, yeah, I'm just gonna very briefly tell you this. Very briefly, the 764 was founded by a teen in Texas, and they heavily target the the mentally vulnerable children 9 to 17 online and very dominantly in the online game Roblox. Outside, go out, both of you out. No, sorry. And another thing that I thought was interesting too, they go and they get into these groups, these neo Nazis or radical Islam groups for up to 18 months. But that is to transform themselves into what they want to be, I guess. But they also, as part of their initiation into the Order of Nine Angels, is to isolate themselves for months. So if you see a teenager or something that is suddenly just completely isolating themselves off from the world, just pay attention. Just 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 pay attention. I'm not saying because they do that that they're in this. But we have to really start taking these little signs seriously. And I mean, don't panic, but pay attention. Just so they will isolate for months. They will go on solitary pilgrimages that where they didn't ever go off anywhere by themselves before. They will suddenly, they wanna go on a and with kids, it can be, "I wanna go on this camping trip by myself or with just this one friend," or whatever, but anyway, they also have physical endurance tasks that they have to perform. It is just incredibly crazy in my eyes. It is just so watch for that. If your children all of the sudden, they've been isolating themselves, but they're really working on getting their endurance up for things, it can be holding their breath so that um, tear gas and stuff that, it doesn't bother them as much. So we were just pay attention. And again, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to make anybody panic if their kids act a little weird. Let's face it, teenagers act a little weird. They do. But we just need to be watchful of like really drastic sudden changes in the way that they act is what I'm thinking. So I want to put this one up. Again, a notable arrest was Mikhail, I'm not even going to try. He was a commander butcher. He's a Georgian national, sorry, emerged as a leader or leading figure with MMC. He's accused of orchestrating violent extremist attacks from Moldova, including poisoning plots targeting Jewish children in New York City using a Santa Claus design. One plot inspired, or one plot even inspired the Nashville school shooting. So they do know that that one was connected. Extradition from Moldova to the U.S. in mid 2024. He's now facing federal charges, including solicitation of hate crimes, conspiracy for violence, and disturbing extremist content. So there's that one. There's not been a lot of arrests. I showed you several for the 764 yesterday, but these others, they're not showing a lot of arrests. So again, this is just a summary. There's also this Nino Luciano that is a MMC associated teenage member. He live streamed a fatal stabbing and assault and was sentenced to 14 years. The 764 network general network collaborator connected to multiple MMC plots, shared grooming, and extremist content. So basically, the bottom line is that these are neo Nazis with a global impact. They are uniquely dangerous and very sexually exploitation goes on, a lot of it. They've live streamed violence. They're committing the violence and then they're live streaming it while it's happening. And very satanic, you know, it's terrifying, I think. I truly believe it's just absolutely terrifying. I think these are children. So, real world violence examples, MC infiltrated or affiliated individuals are tied to multiple violent events. A 22-year-old German, Nino Luciano, live streamed attacks of an 82-year-old man and the stabbing of a 74-year-old woman repeatedly to prove membership in MMC. He received a 14-year prison sentence in August of 2023. MMC frequently disseminated graphic violence and grooming materials via telegram and normalized live assault as initiation. So, MMC and 764 actively share ideology, recruitment techniques, propaganda, extremist violence. Yeah, it's bad. They they work together, y'all. They work together. They are just offshoots of different things. So it is intelligence. The Western intelligence sources say that MMC is intentionally part of a broader network targeting vulnerable youth with violent content and grooming pressure. That's the part that gets me, is that they are actively going after our children. So here are some crimes that are listed against the 764. This Bradley Cadenhead, he's the one that founded it. He was, he shared CSAM, led grooming and ring targeting minors. Caleb Merritt, he's the one that that it said that he got 350 years, but he really got 33. He kidnapped and raped a 12-year-old girl. Um, I don't know that it was actually like rape in the terms that we think of, but she's 12. So she cannot consent. So yeah. Francesco, they call him Riley. He ran 764 Telegram groups, distributed CSAM, sentenced to 3 years. Kyle Spitz, they call him criminal, pled guilty to CSAM production, coerced minors, slain, is 14 years old or was, live streamed 3 stabbings as part of initiation in the No Lives Matter subgroup, which is so scary. Just saying that no lives matter hurts my heart. Um, Slain, he's in Sweden. I guess I should be telling where these are at. Live stream, okay, yeah, that's the one that did that. God, I'm sorry. Jero Tinajero in the U.S. pled guilty to racketeering, conspiracy to murder, grooming, and CSAM. This Trippy and War, they led 764 Inferno. It's another offshoot of 764, and ran a global child exploitation ring, and they face life sentences. And Aiden Harding in the U.S. is with CSAM possession and mass casualty plot. Yeah, he owned 20 firearms. So let's see here. Crimes associated with the manic or maniac murder cult. And there's also a group that's called the Manic Murder Club. They're not the same. So if you're looking up stuff, look for the Maniac Murder Cult, not Manic Murder Club. I know. I wouldn't want to have a name that was even close. So it's a splinter sect tied to 764, inspired by O9A, focused on ritual killings, live stream stabbings, and violence as initiation. So again, we talk about the live streaming of the elderly woman and the man. Um, a Romanian teen that they did not know. He participated in a live broadcast attempt or attacks linked to MMC. Um, Mikhail, I can't pronounce his name. He's called Commander Butcher. He's in Moldova and in the U.S. Extradited, plotted the New York City hate crimes and poisoning attack disguised as Santa. They were handing out candy. That's why I put the picture of the sucker on the thumbnail. They were handing out Santa was handing out candy to children. MMC, MKY members in Europe and US stabbing, ritual killings, challenges, groups. It, it's all with acts of violence. So, and let's see. I think I've got, do I have one more? Yeah, right here. Let's say I thought I had this one. Crimes associated with Nine Angels or the O9A. Brandon Russell, he's in Florida, plotted to bomb a power grid and synagogues. Aiden Bruce in Texas, O9 linked, arrested with assault rifles and explosive materials. British teens, they were threatened rape and political assassinations, convicted under terror laws. Cameron Acid Finnegan possessed O9A writings, encouraged suicide, had CSAM, and was sentenced to 6 years. And then in unknown initiates, they advocated human sacrifice, child rape, and incited terrorist activity. So basically, all of that. So, yeah, how scary is that whenever you think about the fact that these are children for the most part, or they are now adults that have, aged into adults, but they were children. I do have I want to read, and it's not very long. Um, this is an article that was written. I thought I saved that. Did I not save that picture? I guess I didn't. Anyway, I had a picture of the guy that it's written about, or the interview of him, but it's fine. We don't have to have that. Let me just say he's an FBI agent and he took an early retirement, and he's not retirement age. He's younger than me. So it says after 20 years at the FBI, Pat McGonigal had seen had seen more violence than most, but it was his investigation of 764, an online network pressuring children to engage in self-harm and sexual abuse, that forced him into early retirement. McMonigal, who worked as a hostage negotiator and counterterrorism co-coordinator, now warns parents about the satanic child grooming cult his team attempted to shut down. Its members seized on the anonymity, I can't say that word, anonymity, you know, of platforms like Roblox, Discord, and Telegram to target children. In the US, it is classified as a terrorist group. They start with smaller pieces of control, McMonigal, 45 years old, told The Times. They will tell children to scratch names or swastikas in their bodies. They call it signs of the victimizer. They find children on suicide blogs and try to pull them inside to determine through a vetting process whether the kid is vulnerable or not. It's gradual. It's a gradual process. They eventually try to convince kids to kill themselves. The FBI first alerted the public about the group in 2023 a year after a video of a 13-year-old boy's suicide outside a supermarket began circulating online. McMonigal lived a short drive from the boy's family in Tacoma, Washington. He was assigned to the case. He left the agency last year before he was able to track down the members of 764 who lured the boy from an art forum on Discord and went on to torment him for 7 months. In late June, the German authorities arrested Shahar J., a 20-year-old Hamburg resident who called himself White Tiger online. He stands accused of using another minor to drive the 13-year-old boy to suicide. Jay was charged with 123 counts, including murder and rape, and is being held. I can't pronounce that, but it's a prison island in Germany. The boy's father, who wanted to remain anonymous, told the German outlet Bild, yeah, these people exploited my son's vulnerability. They knew that he was online and they stalked him. They waited for a vulnerable night. The boy's mother added, my greatest fear is that some pervert still has the video of my son's death that was streamed back then and could upload it again at any time. McMonigal, a father of four, the 764 investigation was mentally and emotionally taxing and led him to seek psychological help. He recalled having to re-watch suicide videos, searching for clues about the location and a time frame. I had a 12-year-old boy at the time. Ugh. It was the dichotomy of my kid playing football and having a good time and this other child being victimized. I knew there was more like him, McMonigal said. And it was such a traumatic thing for me that I just kind of kept informed from the sidelines. There have been more arrests, but it's tough for me to know that. Gosh, these guys are still out there and they're going after kids. Members of 764, named after the zip code of the founder's home in Texas, tell children to send videos that are then exchanged among members and used for blackmail and extortion. McMonigal said that he was aware of dozens of investigations during his time at the FBI. In May, the agency said there were 250 open investigations tied to this group. Victims are believed to be as young as 9, and there could be thousands. Perpetrators are often or thought often to be minors themselves, hiding behind fake encrypted profiles. If they are outside the US, the FBI encounters a judicial, challenge. Okay. It's a leadership group in a lot of ways, McMonigal added. It's like you can arrest one ISIS leader and then somebody else just takes over. He added there is an ideology behind the group's activities. There is a Darwinian belief that there's a weak and someone is or that there's weak and that someone is going to fall for this, and so they're not justified in surviving. They think they are basically ridding the world or ridding the world, I'm sorry. Ridding the world of the weak by going after their victims. So, yeah, I was trying to see. I was just gonna hold it up, actually. This is actually it's just on my iPad, y'all, but this is actually a picture of him. He's young, and he certainly doesn't look, weak. This is a seasoned FBI agent that had to take an early retirement and seek psychological help from this group, and our children are being targeted by them. Y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and look at the starred comments and see what we've got to say. I wanna thank you guys for being in here. I know I didn't do, like, a roll call. It didn't seem appropriate. I don't know. I do apologize if that's something that y'all really like. I just wanted to. So, Cat K, it's good to see you. She says, "Oh, gracious, I forgot Susie." Were you saying hi to everybody? Evie says, "Hi, Susie." Yeah, Cat K, I'm sick of them hurting our babies too. Yeah, Mare says that there are just so many terrible people out there. That is so true. Cat says, "Yes, Mary, it infuriates me. There are trashy women on a lot of corners giving it away for $5. Leave our babies alone." Yeah. Sorry for the caps. I get mad and heartbroken. Oh, it's fine. I do the same thing. So, 'cause I love Barbies too, Susie. I still play with them when I get the chance. I know. Don't they have some amazing ones now? Yeah, this has been around since the '60s. Not the one in Texas. This was, in like 2023. But this other group, yeah, since the '60s. Isn't that just uh, aw, hi. Says, "I'm a little late, but at least I'm here now." Absolutely. So glad to see you. Always glad to see you. Yeah. No name means it's a cult. Absolutely. Yeah. So they're transforming into monsters. Isn't that sad? I'm telling you, it absolutely broke my heart. I just wanted to go, hug my babies. Yeah, No Face says paganism gets a bad rap because nothing rhymes with paganism. Yeah, yeah, the doggy doesn't like them either. Oh, I know, my dog was upset. Yeah, No Face says sticks and stones might break my bones, but a pagan will never hurt me. I've got friends that are pagan, and they're some of the absolute most, you know, loving, kind, absolutely against violence people that you would ever know. Like Christy, you know, conversations with Christy. So, oh yeah, just a quiet, peaceful dance. My son is mixed race. Even so, he is blonde, blue-eyed. When he was in high school, 2 boys tried to recruit him to a neo-Nazi group. He informed them that they really didn't want him. Good on him. Yeah. John, it is heartbreaking. It truly is. I'm gonna go back to my uplifting stories that I've been searching out. I understand the 3 things that control the world: war, power, and peace, aka yeah. And what about a smile to a stranger, no questions asked? We can be nicer to each other, and we should be. Absolutely. I agree. No face. I absolutely agree. Linda, it is good to see you. Yeah, go back to the beginning. And if y'all have not seen yesterday's video, um, please watch it. This is all I'm going to do on this one, unless, I mean, now if something comes up and it leads back to them, of course I'm going to talk about it. But I can't. I can't dig any deeper. There's some things that I just can't do. It's too triggering for me. So, just because of my grandkids, just because of the grandkids. And my grandkids are all right in that age. We're right under it. And I know that some of the stuff that they talked about where they were talking about the mentally vulnerable. That's not the only ones they go after. That makes me sick that they go after them. And so I definitely wanted to hit on that because they go after them with the intent of getting them to unalive themselves. So it's a set thing. That's what they're intending to do because they get off on watching it and streaming it. And so to go after the vulnerable in our society, whether it be the mentally vulnerable children or the elderly, is vile. It's absolutely vile to me. So I thank you guys for being here. I am going to be on again tonight at 6:30 my time. We're going to be talking about ways that we say that we are doing self care. that really might be doing more damage than what we admit. And it's gonna be a lot more lighthearted. I mean, we're gonna talk about it, but if I would like for y'all to be there and to tell me the things that you do for self-care, and have they ever gone a little too far? I have some. I do. I have some, and I am really not happy with myself. So, anyway, I will be back at 6:30. I'm surprised that Betta's not here. She has convinced me to take her to the pool. I did not tell everybody the other day, I just kinda forgot, but Betta, she's been trying and trying and trying to learn to swim this summer, and we had just about given up hope. Her grandfather, her mother's, biological dad, is what we call a sinker. He literally will wear multiple life jackets, and I had said before that he even had one, like, he put his legs through the armholes, and jumped into the lake and sank. And his now wife had to jump in and save him. So, we were kind of afraid that she was gonna be along those lines too, but the other day, she took off, she got frustrated, she was irritated that she couldn't do it, and she just took off across that pool and started swimming. So, then after that, she was diving under the water and getting stuff off the bottom and, just absolutely thrilled. So, I'm telling this to maybe lighten the mood a little. So, I'm gonna go out and watch her swim and go get some, what does she calls them, sinkers or something like that, some toys that they ordered for her that sink, and she can go get them off the bottom. So, you all go do something that's lighter. Don't think about this all day. File it back, that we need to be careful, but let's not let it bring us down. I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee, and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons.